My name is Christopher Deon. I teach 11th and 12th grade English, AP Language and Composition, AP Literature, and Digital Marketing at Rosepine High School in Vernon Parish, Louisiana. I am passionate about all things education. I hope to utilize this platform by mentoring educators and strengthening the school-to-home relationship through effective communication. Today, I invite you to view a few days of our lesson titled Claire Booth Luce. This lesson is aligned to the standards set forth by the College Board for Advanced Placement, Language, and Composition. AP Lang is an introductory college-level composition course. Students expand their understanding of writing and rhetoric through reading, analyzing, and writing texts as they explore topics like rhetorical situation, claims and evidence, reasoning, organization, and style. The lesson you're reviewing today concentrates on developing rhetorical analysis skills, which will be tested on the AP exam in May. The prompt students respond to in this video is the actual Q2 prompt used on the 2017 exam. During this lesson, students will analyze the opening speech made in 1960 by American journalist and politician Claire Booth Luce to journalists. In her speech, Luce criticizes the tendency of the American press to sacrifice journalistic integrity in favor of the public demand for sensationalized stories. To analyze the text, students will employ the Space Cat strategy. Once the text has been dissected, students will work in cooperative groups to develop a thesis statement. Students will make then assertions and provide evidence and analysis to justify their claims in reference to Luce's speech. The filming process begins the day students return from winter break and lasts for 3 days. Prior to the break, we began working on the rhetorical analysis unit. So far, we have discussed the requirements for the Q2 prompt and reviewed exemplars of the Q2 responses. We have also practiced using easier prompts. Today will be the first time students actually tackle a true AP Q2 prompt using the strategies I modeled during the month of December. I believe that my approach to teaching AP composition through the gradual release process helps provide students with a sense of safety and confidence as they complete their first collegiate level course at the age of 16 or 17 years old. Through cooperative learning and coaching in my classroom, students continue to gain the independence necessary to grapple with challenging texts and tasks presented on the AP exam. My AP Lang class features 24 students completing their junior year of high school. At my school, I teach 2 courses of advanced placement English. I pride myself in offering an AP for All program. My AP composition class consists of students that are and are not on the college pathway. They are a varied group of students who share 2 things in common: the desire to be challenged and the ability to rise to the occasion. So today we are going to look at a 2017 prompt from the actual AP exam. So it's an actual question 2 prompt from the rhetorical analysis portion of your AP exam. Today you'll do the Space Cat thing for it. Tomorrow you guys are going to do a thesis statement for it. And then that's working us towards writing an essay for the actual 2017 prompt. So let's open up in your Google Classrooms the 2017 prompt and look at it. That's a lot of detail, but what is it actually asking you to do? Like, what does it mean that they sacrifice journalistic integrity for sensationalized stories? They lie. All right. That's what it boils down to. That they sacrifice their integrity to lie. Why would they do that?
To get readers.
To get readers. Yeah.
On the screen, you are viewing my peers analyze a passage from Claire Booth Luce's 1960 speech to the Women's Press Club. In the speech, Luce criticizes the tendency of American press to sacrifice journalistic integrity in favor of sensationalistic content. To complete the analysis, students use the Space Cat strategy. This strategy requires students to make annotations and notes. This work will later help us formulate our thesis statements and assertions.
That's really all that we know about it. Well, I put in trying to encourage journalists.
Stop lying.
Yeah, I said we know that she dislikes the lies that journalists use, and then for the purpose.
And then it says, what do we know about them?
What did y'all put?
She has strong opinion. Yeah, she has a strong opinions on what journalists should and shouldn't be doing.
Now, I didn't know who she's speaking to for the conference.
The American press.
The American press. And now she has an opinion about the American press. What's that opinion?
That they lie and don't tell the truth.
That they lie and they need to tell the truth. Why do they lie?
To exaggerate the story to get viewers.
Yeah, to exactly the story to get viewers, or if it's print, they advertise they lie to do what? If it's print press, like newspapers.
To get more viewers.
Yeah, to get more readers, because if they get more readers, what do they get?
That was like me genuinely. She acts like happy, like, oh, I'm so happy to be here. But then around like the second, third paragraph, she like switches, like, this is, you know, you shouldn't do that.
You said she switches. What's that switch called?
A shift.
A shift. Good. So there's a tonal shift. So,
Diction.
well, we can't just say diction though. Why can't we just say diction?
But it asks.
Yeah, it does, but why can't we just say diction? Like diction by itself. Why can't we just say diction by itself?
Because diction is the words, it's not actually describing.
Alright, so if we say just diction, that's like some Jesus words. No, don't erase it. Put something in front of it. Describe the diction. So don't just say she uses diction, describe that diction.
So can I take some of this and put it in front?
Like an adjective. Like she uses strong, or she uses aggressive, or she uses comical. How do you think she talks to them? Angry? Alright, so she uses angry diction. So today you're going to get one of those sentence strips on the side of the room and a marker and an eraser, and using your annotations from yesterday, the Space Cat annotations, then you will write on these sentence strips what your thesis is, and then we'll walk around the room, make sure that you guys are good to go on it. So one person from each table, get up and get the sentence strip and the eraser and marker, and we'll start.
I think we should add the audience maybe.
Oh, yeah, the audience. Wasn't the American press though?
Well, I mean, so the introduction to what is going to be her speech is very honest about her intentions, so you could put honest.
Yeah.
And then it's just an introduction to her speech. So
You are the first ones to call it an honest introduction.
I'm gonna insult her and y'all need to be aware of it.
yeah, she really was. She's like, I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna take it.
I like that. Good job.
So we have include booth. Can't say straightforward. What about Frank?
Argument.
Well, what we got is an American journalist and politician, Claire Booth Luce's honest introduction to her speech. She uses various rhetorical strategies in order to introduce the audience to her argument about the American press's tendency to follow your journalism. What do y'all think about that?
I mean, that's exactly what she did. She
Yeah, I
was
think
pretty
it's great.
honest. I think it's great.
Okay, so today should be the last day that we have class where we're talking about what you did for Space Cat and what you did yesterday for the thesis. And we're getting ready to write the essay, but before we do that, we will work on answering some questions to make sure that I understand where you are and that you understand what it is that you're doing. So let's go. First question. On Space Cat, how is the Space Cat strategy helpful to you? Anybody? Yes, sir.
The Space Cat strategy helps me gather evidence and analyze the text more carefully, making it easier to put my essay
You
together.
have to look back at the passage. Is there anything in there that you think you just don't understand or you need help with? Need further explanation?
The very last paragraph.
What? Somebody read the very last paragraph, or the last few lines at least.
Is that line like 57? For the plain fact is that the U.S. daily press today is not inspiring good. It is just far away the best press in the world.
So that seems to contradict things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What she said. So what is it? So what's happening there?
She's saying that it's like not that good, but it's still better than other things.
Okay.
But she says it is just far and away the best press in the world.
I mean, she could be saying, you, just because you don't do one thing right doesn't mean that overall, like if a person has one bad habit, it doesn't make them a bad person. So they could be good writers and how, like their form of writing is good, but they just lie too much.
So let's look back at this real quick and see what you might use as evidence.
Line 24 and 25, which is
24 to 25.
where it
Or I ask you only to remember that I am not a volunteer for the subject tonight. You asked for it. What is she telling them?
she's saying she's gonna be honest no matter what, because she didn't ask to be there, they asked for her, so she's gonna tell them how she feels.
Okay. So she's pointing out that like she didn't just volunteer to go, like they asked this lady to come and talk to them. So when they can't suddenly just be offended by what she says, maybe they should have known what to expect because they invited her. So they can't act shocked and surprised that she's going to talk to them about being honest. All right, one more piece of evidence. One more person.
I said 26 and 28.
26 and 28. All right, so we're starting off with this first paragraph. We began this task on Wednesday. Which part of this process was the most difficult? Why? And what plan can you devise to help you overcome this obstacle for the next task?
Definitely finding the assertions.
Finding
Finding what letter she used in the passage, just figuring out what the letters are.
Definitely just understanding the actual speech itself. I don't think any of us actually understood it until like the second day
Yeah, I
when we
think
had
the
to
first
write
day
it.
we're trying to read it so much that our brain just kind of got fried.
Just realistically, what can I do to better assist you?
You could probably help us like understand what we're reading, like if we don't
Yeah.
understand.
But I think you do that pretty well though.
That and give us the examples of rhetoric besides diction, because I think that's a really hard one.
Yeah, we do
Because
need a lot.
we don't know. Well, and we don't know what's good to use and what's not, if that makes sense.
And I think part of it is you guys get hung up on that it has to have like a name for it.
Yeah.
And you tend to forget that it doesn't. Like you don't have to say she uses metaphor, but you can say she compares this to this.
Oh.
Or she points out something, or she identifies flaws. Like I think because of like past English classes, y'all get hung up on the fact that you have to specifically identify something. It has to have a name. And that's not the case. It's less impressive that you can say, well, that's a metaphor, versus you can say, what she does there is she compares this to this for this purpose.
See, that even helps a lot, because I think that you're right with, we feel like we have to name it.
Then what are you wondering now? Like, is there anything else on your mind?
You're telling me like this isn't the whole speech? Like that's just the introduction?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing, is I'm curious on the rest of the introduction, or not the introduction.
The rest of the speech.
You know, if she
And then
brought
I'm
that
curious on how
introduction.
the audience took it.
I don't know how mean she was.
And I want to know.
No, I was gonna say something. Going back to where she said that we have the best news in the world, I feel like she's saying like we have the potential to be, but the untruthfulness in the news is why, like, we're not the best we can be, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, still, where there's a will, there's a way. You know?
We accomplished a lot this week as the students tackled their first Q2 task. I believe that the objectives were met, but there is room for students to improve upon the skills required for the Q2 portion of the exam. Each year, the student population requires a fresh, personalized approach to the skills being taught. Today, on day 3, the students and I spent some time reflecting upon their strengths and weaknesses. This particular group of students struggled with acclimating to the camera. If I were to redo this lesson, I would have pulled the camera further away to give them the opportunity to fail quietly. I also realized during the lesson that the students did not retain how to apply some of the strategies we practiced. They spent too much time trying to remember the name of the strategy rather than just completing the strategy. Next week, I've decided to revisit certain strategies, starting with illusion and word choice, to help them in this area. Despite the pressure of the filming process, I am proud of my students for taking academic risks. I look forward to next week as we work together in our classroom community to continue the pursuit of excellence.